Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to play with markers and we're going to be using some new markers by Ohuhu. They're sponsoring this video and I'm using the Kaala series markers today. Now they have two different types of markers in this series. They have the regular Kaala markers and also the Kaala B series. Now the Kaala B series has a brush on it. So that's what we're opening up here right now. We have a blending marker that they don't count as part of the 60 in the set, which I think is really cool. You get 60 colors plus a clear blender, plus look, some extra marker nibs in case you happen to damage a brush end. Now the brushes are reversible in this set, so if you do damage one, flip it out, turn it back in the opposite way, and you got a new nib. Then if something tragic happens, you got an extra pack of spares. So I think that's really awesome. Now here we have the original Kaala markers. This set here is your basic colors, and we have 108 of them. So I think we're going to be pretty much all set for any marker emergency. These swatches are now attached by little eyelets, which is great, so you don't have to worry about losing a loose swatch sheet, and the packaging is really wonderful for storage, so you don't have to go find something else to keep your markers in. Now here is the Kaala and Kaala B markers side by side. They're pretty much the same except for the fine ends. You either have a fine bullet tip or you have a mini brush nib. One is flexible, one is hard. It really just depends on your preference. They're both lovely markers. Here you can see them demonstrated side by side. Here is a slim broad nib, which is really nice because you can do details, you can do wide washes of color. You really don't even need to uncap the small nib if you get used to using that brush nib. But here you can see the brush nib has a nice fast flow. It's great for blending and for expressive strokes. So that would probably be my preference between the two lines. But if you're someone who likes to color in tiny stamped images or in color pages, you may prefer to have the harder bullet nib because it's not going to flow ink so fast. So it's going to be better for staying within small spaces. It really just depends on what you prefer. I think that it's nice to have different options because you can get exactly what you want and you don't have to compromise. Now let's compare the old Honolulu chisel nibs with the new Kaala chisel nibs. You can see the Kaala nibs are taller, thinner, and come to more of a point, so it just gives you an extra edge and a little bit more versatility. The brush nibs on the old Honolulu are much thicker than the new Kaala, but they're essentially the same material. Now let's see them in action. With the old Honolulu, we can easily fill in areas with wide swaths of color. We can also do some fine lines and details, just like we can with the new Kaala chisel nib. I find that the slimmer body of the Kaala marker and the longer nib just gives me a little bit more comfort and versatility because I have smaller hands, but it's totally up to you. They're essentially going to do very similar functions here. I'm just going to show you them side by side one more time so you can see, and then we're going to look at the brush nibs. Now the old Honolulu brush nib is very responsive. It goes thin to thick really easily, and I find it a joy to work with. I do find the mini brush nib on the new Kaala marker to be a little bit more responsive and again easier to hold because I have smaller hands. There's no wrong choice here. I just wanted to show you the difference between the two. These markers are refillable. Ohuhu is expanding their refill line of inks, so pretty soon they'll have inks for all of their markers. I think they're up to 100 now. So here I'm just filling out the swatch card. Now one thing I noticed with the swatch cards is that it's kind of an absorbent material, so the ink appears a bit darker than it would on, say, like a glossy marker paper or a coated marker paper. It's just something to keep in mind. This is going to give you more reliable results if you like to work on a mixed media paper or something more like a blending card. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're swatching. If you want to be really precise, you can always make a swatch card out of the paper you prefer to draw and color on. I would recommend that, especially if you're new to markers. Something else you can do is actually swatch on like a Avery label and stick it to your marker if you want to make sure that you're getting a really accurate swatch. Now I wanted to show you those caps because they have changed their color numbering system to make it more, I would say, logical to blend. So they're kind of going with a system a little bit more like Copics now. And if you buy one of their sets of markers or you check out their social media accounts, they tell you exactly what the code means and how to get good blends with it. So refer to that in your next pack of markers if you want to know. And they do put the old color numbers on the new swatch charts. So even if you have an old set, don't worry, you're not out of luck. You can still use them and blend. Now with that, let's get on to the project and do some drawing and coloring together. I'm starting my picture off with a frame, so I just use a flat compass to draw a circle, and I find that to be a really nice way to ground an image, and then I will sometimes let my illustration go beyond that frame. I think it kind of It just looks neat, you know, like if I let the hair kind of drift off of the frame, or the pole from the carousel horse, or the snout just kind of come outside of that frame, it just kind of gives it a little bit of dimension, I guess. I don't know, kind of like it's poking his head through a porthole. I don't know. It's just kind of a neat little trope I like to employ sometimes when I'm using markers, and that way I don't have to do the whole background, and also it gives me a nice stopping point, because sometimes the edges of a marker illustration can look really messy unless you take it to the edge of the page, and that just takes up extra time and extra ink, and sometimes it can feel kind of want when you're done. But having that shape in the middle, whether it's a diamond or a square or a circle, just looks cool, I think. And you don't have to put it in the beginning. You can always do that later, but I like to start off, if I'm going to do a background, start off with a shape in there. That way I can put that background in and have a good idea of how the other values will relate with it. You'll see that in a minute, because we'll put our background in first. And I had to shift the circle over a bit because I really did not have it anywhere near the center, and I thought it would look better if I just scooched it over a little bit. And even though I'm using a colored pencil, it will still erase fairly well. The colored pencils are also by Ohuhu. They came out last spring, I think, and they're really a nice pencil. If you like a firmer pencil similar to like a polychromos, you'll probably enjoy these. They're translucent, so I can still see the marker through them, but they do lay down on top of the marker enough to do shading and subtle highlighting. So it's just kind of a nice subtle way to adjust your colors and your shading if you need to. I want to have a really bold background, so I decided to go with orange because there is a lot of orange there in the background, and then I thought I would do kind of a bokeh effect to make it look like, you know, you've got that lit up carousel background, kind of like we have in the reference photo. And I will link the reference photo in the video description from Unsplash, so if you want to see it, and actually I cropped in so there is more of the merry-go-round in there. If that's of interest to you, you can see that in the reference image. I'm using the slim broad end of the marker to fill in this because it's going to flood out plenty of ink, but I can still control it. Because it's a hard nib, I really know where the edge of that's going to be, and I don't end up with unexpected gushes of ink. And not to say that the brush tip gushes ink, it's just going to feed ink quicker because of that softer fiber, and sometimes it tends to go out of the lines. Now here I'm using the brush end of the clear blending marker to do this bokeh effect because it's going to feed out ink faster and it's going to help lift out those spots. Now if you want it lighter, go over the dots. You can keep going over the dots until it's almost bleached back to white. Now this is a really dark reddish orange color, so it's not going to go pure white again. Some colors will bleach right back out to nothing, but I just wanted that kind of subtle bokeh effect. I just kind of wanted like almost a party vibe to it, and I thought that that did a good job at that. Now I have a whole video on how to use a colorless blender. If you've ever been like flummoxed by what the heck do I do with this marker, it doesn't really blend colors together. No, it doesn't. They shouldn't call it a blender. They should call it a color lifter or a magic wand or something, because it doesn't really blend, but it has a lot of great uses. So I'll link that video down below so you can have a look at it if you're curious. I think it has like, I don't know, 8 or 10 different ways to use the blender. I went in with a color similar to what I was going to color different like areas with a colored pencil, just to sketch in some little designs that I didn't put in my initial sketch, and now I'm just going in and filling in color. I don't worry about blending so much at this stage. I'm just kind of blocking in because I know on this paper and with these markers I will be able to go back in, reactivate, and blend my pens together. Different papers behave differently with markers, and we all have our favorites. And Ohuhu has quite a batch of different types of papers, from like a slick Bristol to a bleed proof paper to this one, which is my favorite, which is it does bleed through. You have to make sure you have something behind the page, but I just find that it allows me to use mixed media and blend a little bit better. But there's no right or wrong. Choose whatever you like. And honestly, I would advise you not to jump around from paper to paper. If you're a beginner, I would pick a paper and get used to it, because the more you jump around paper, the longer it's going to take you to learn. As it is, markers have a pretty steep learning curve, in my opinion. I think alcohol markers may be the most difficult medium to learn. To get the effects that you want. So just keep a constant thing like your paper. You can even add different marker brands together and not have as much of a problem learning as you do if you keep switching papers. And I just recommend something that is thick and will blend. I think the papers that don't bleed through to the back, I think those are the more difficult ones to learn on. So I would not recommend those for a beginner, even though it is cool that you don't have any bleed through on the back. But honestly, they're harder to learn. I think you might get frustrated. I also don't like the really thin marker papers that have that like almost plasticky coating on it, because those tend to puddle up your ink. Now they conserve your ink a bit, which is nice, but if you like that blended effect, I don't think that's going to give you the look you're going for. I really like the sketchbook because I think it's kind of the best of both worlds. Another good option is Bristol paper or Nina Classic Crest cardstock, but that's kind of harder to find. So, just I'll link to the sketchbook, and then, if you've got cardstock at home that you like using, go ahead and use that. If you have like a whole pack of cardstock you want to use up, stick with the same paper and you're going to learn a lot faster. So that would be my advice. Now, something else I like to do, now not everybody likes this technique, but I like to go darks first, especially if I am sketching something or painting something in that's got strong contrasts. So for the metal pole there, I am doing my darkest refractions and shadows first, then midtones, and then I'll go over it with the lights last, and then I'll pull out a white gel pen at the end and add some highlights. So you could also reserve your highlights, but boy, a white gel pen is real easy, and I think that's honestly the way to go. But yeah, you could reserve them if you want. Just got to be careful with your ink flow not gushing in and filling in all those spaces. Also, colored pencils, man, they are great for going in and adding any little details that maybe the markers got away from you and you need to, crisp up an edge. The pencils will do a great job at that too. And you probably also noticed that I haven't done any fine lining. Now, it's up to you whether you want to fine line first, last, or not at all. I tend to do it last, and the reason for that is because sometimes I don't want fine lining and I don't know until the end, but other times I'm still working on my sketch the whole way through the process of me coloring it and painting. So I save the fine lines to the end because sometimes I need to nudge something a little this way or that way, and saving my fine lines let me still edit there towards the end. So keep that in mind as an option. I mean, another option would be to sketch it out on scrap paper, and then once you have it perfectly done, then transfer it onto your paper, then fine line it. But I like to jump right in on the sketchbook, and because of that, I'm kind of always reworking the drawing as we go along. There's no right or wrong way. Maybe you want to trace a picture, and then you could go right in with the fine liners because you know that your lines are where they need to be. But I really love drawing. I love that challenge and the kind of rolling with the punches and figuring it out as I go along. But if you don't, then don't do it. This is your hobby. You should approach it the way you want to. Now, there's a couple different ways that I can approach blending. I really like to do a dark to light blending, which is where I go in with my dark, blend it with my medium, and then go over it with a light. But certain colors are very difficult to blend that way. Reds, blues, any really intense color, purples, those are really difficult. So when I'm blending those colors, like I did with the little flower, on the bridle there, is I would prime it first with a light color, then go in with the dark, then the medium, then the light again. And that gives me a nice smooth blend, even on those tricky colors. And I would recommend just drawing a bunch of rectangles on the same paper you want to use for your artwork and practice blending those colors together. And in fact, you can even practice blending the colors on a scrap of paper, hopefully the same paper that you typically are going to be using, and see what colors give you the results you want before you bring it to your artwork. Because if you're new, it can be very stressful to learn how the markers blend on your final painting. Now, one thing I want to mention about alcohol markers, which if you've been using alcohol markers, I'm sure you already know this, but these are a dye-based product, meaning they're going to fade. So that's another reason I love to work in a sketchbook, because I'm not going to hang this on the wall. If I hang it on the wall, it's eventually going to bleach out on me. But keeping it in a sketchbook is going to let that artwork last for a long time. You can also scan your work if you like to do greeting cards or prints, or just even just make a print to share with a friend. You can do that. You can scan it as you go, and then your artwork is going to last. But I just like to work in a sketchbook, and then I find that I don't have the issue with fading when I'm working in a sketchbook and it's not being left open for years and years. At most, I'm leaving my sketchbook open for a week so I can enjoy looking at my artwork right after I've done it, and then I close it up or work on the next page, and then I'm just flipping through my sketchbook at a later date, and it's fun to see those pictures. So it's just something I want you to know if you're going to do alcohol markers, is that it's not a permanent medium unless you're going to scan it and save it digitally. Now here we're going on to the fine lining stage, and this is where I correct errors that I've realized. Now, sometimes you don't see those errors right away. Sometimes you take a break and then you come back and it just pops out at you like, ooh, that nostril needs to be a little bit over to the left. Ooh, those teeth don't look quite right. Or, oh, I forgot to do the double side of that bridle, or whatever it is. You're going to see it after you give yourself a little bit of time. The old adage, hindsight is 20/20. It's really appropriate when you're talking about art. In fact, sometimes I don't see the problem in a painting till after I've taken a photo of it and posted it online. And boy, isn't that embarrassing to realize you made a big mistake after you posted it out for the whole world to see. But hey, you know what? That's fine. We all make mistakes. I'm no different. So we might as well show the world that we make mistakes too. At least that's what I'm going to do, because I'm not good at catching them until a couple days later, apparently. But I just had a lot of fun with this. I'm using a liquid fine liner from Ohuhu. I really like the set because the whole barrel of the pen is full of ink. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. And I think the set of, I think it's a set of 9 or 12. Anyway, they've been going strong for over a year, and I use them as my primary fine liners. I think it's like $16 or $20 for the set. Sometimes they go on sale, and they even sell those at Michael's. So if you are someone who wants to look at it in person and pick it up in store, that's a really great option for you. And I just like that it's got more ink in it than my Micron, so it lasts longer for me. Now, one thing I want to mention with the liquid fine liners is they seem to feed the ink out a little bit faster. So if you're typically used to using, say, a 0.3, go with a 0.2. Go down a size of what you're typically used to using if you're typically a Micron user or any of the Cotton Core fine liners, just so that you get the size that you're anticipating. Or again, practice on the paper that you're typically going to be doing your art on, and you'll get the hang of it. Now I'm using a white gel pen to put some highlights here and there. And now, because this is a Carousel horse, it's all like a hard fiberglass plastic type material, so I could highlight the dickens out of this, but I decided to mainly concentrate my highlights on the metallic areas and the eyeballs, and I decided I wanted to make the fur look a little bit softer, so I went in with a colored pencil. And that's going to give it more of a velvety effect. And I think that works really nice because it gives me a bit of contrast. It gives me a bit of contrast between that and the glossy metal pole and the buckle and all of that. But again, these are stylistic choices that you're going to make with your artwork. And I think the only way to develop your style is to create, and you're going to find what appeals to you, what you like the look of, what you like to combine together. I think that the media that you choose also informs your style, and once you kind of come up with that recipe for a painting that really speaks to you, then your style starts to emerge. So a lot of people will ask, how do you find your style? How can I find my style? It happens. You don't go searching for it. It just comes as you put the practice in. So don't stress out about finding a style. Don't stress out about any of that. Just enjoy the process and have fun learning, because really that's what art is all about. Now, we've used a lot of really fun Ohuhu products here in this project, and I want to let you know that Ohuhu's back to school event is on right now. Check out their website for the sale, plus grab free coloring pages to download. So if you're not ready to draw like we did today and you want something that's already done for you, download a coloring page, print it out on that paper that you plan to use. Tear it out of your sketchbook if you need to. Feed that through your printer. That way you're going to get used to coloring on paper that is the paper that you want to do your art on. And that would probably be the biggest tip I would have for using alcohol markers. I don't know if there's another medium that's so dependent on the paper, maybe watercolor, but it really makes a huge difference. But the difference is really getting used to one paper and not jumping around to a bunch of different kinds. Now here I'm playing again. I'm adding some marker over the pencil. Now marker will dissolve colored pencil, so it can help it blend out, which is kind of nice. But keep in mind that if you have a lot of colored pencil down and you're going over it with your markers, especially those soft brush tips, is that it can clog up your brush tips. So scribble it on a scrap of paper if you're going over a heavy passage of colored pencil. But there you have it. I really love how this came out, and it was a colorful, cheerful antidote that I needed in my art life today. You can find the real-time version of this in Critique Club. You can find all the products I use from our sponsor Ohuhu, and I will have links to everything in the video description, so go check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.